January 22nd. It's cold. It's finally starting to feel like winter actually. And I think we're actually going to get some winter temperatures here pretty soon. Which is good. We need some freezing temperatures. We rely on our freezing cold winters to reduce the parasite load on our farm. Whether that's garden or cows or chickens, you know, we rely on that. It also helps some of our plants overwinter better because they actually have a chance to go into hibernation. Okay, what I want to talk to all of you today is how I treat mastitis naturally. Nothing is as good as what you feel is best for your cow. And sometimes that might be calling in a vet. It really just depends. When our cows, our first milk cows, got mastitis, they got it really bad and we didn't know what to do. And I was too scared of cows at the time to force my girl Alice to get milked because she was so big. She was easily 1,400 pounds. She was huge. She was about the size of a Holstein, and I had just gone through PTSD with our first girl. And yeah, so she got mastitis really bad, and we nearly lost her. But since then, we've learned so much. I've always leaned a little bit more heavily on essential oils, vitamins, supplements, natural diet, and I've never been a fan of medication. And I guess that has kind of bled over into my treatment of my animals. It's what I choose to do. I have used antibiotics on my cows, and I don't apologize for that. Okay, but I want to talk to you a little bit about what I use for treating my cows when they have mastitis. I've had so many people ask me exact recipes for treating mastitis naturally. I don't really have one. I just kind of make it up as I go. First and foremost, milk often and milk completely out. That is the best thing you can do. There's things like Hygiene. Make sure your hands are clean before you start milking them if you're milking by hand, or even if you're washing them. Make sure your hands are clean, or use gloves. I've seen a lot of people do that. Use an iodine teep. I use iodine teep I pick up at my local farm store. TSC is better than my other farm store. I pick one up specifically for dairy cows, and I was able to pick up the teat cups on Amazon. Super easy, and I think it was like $7 for 2 of them, and they work great. They work perfect for us. So do the post-dip teat, pre and post milking teat dip with the iodine. We've noticed that that has really alleviated things like warts on Daisy. She tends to have issues with warts. We had our vet take a look at her, and he said, why don't you try the iodine teat dip, and that'll help prevent that. So we did, and you know, I'll never go back. It just makes so much sense. No, it's not going to get into your milk because you just let it sit there for 30 seconds to a minute and then wipe it off, and then we strip after that. So we're not getting any iodine into our milk. For those of us who are iodine deficient a little bit, doesn't really bother me anyway. Okay, so hygiene is so important. Make sure your girls' udders are not covered in manure or, you know, muck. Remember, before they calve, their teats are sealed off with like a waxy plug. So you don't want to be messing with that before they calve. And then after they calve, yeah, you're gonna, I would recommend help the calf get colostrum. within the first hour. We like to have our babies on mom within the first hour after calving. We will help them. We will milk colostrum into a bottle straight from mom and shove it into the baby's mouth. What we've noticed is that when we do that, our calves then have enough strength to fight their new mother to find that udder. Now they know what it tastes like, they know what it smells like, and they will fight to get that. And then what we'll do is when we're milking mom, we'll get some of that colostrum in our hands and rub it all over the udder so that baby can find that smell again. Okay, but back to the mastitis. Mom is going to have a lot of edema and swelling. Her udder is going to be hard. That's normal. And it does not mean mastitis. That in and of itself does not mean mastitis. If you were to try to use a Dr. Naylor's test strip for mastitis, first day after calving, you've got colostrum. That colostrum is salty. It's going to register positive on those test strips. That does not mean she has mastitis. In fact, if you read the fine print on those Dr. Naylor's test strips, you will see that they will say, do not trust the results. You know, up to 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks after calving, something like that. So that's not what's going to determine whether or not your girl has mastitis. Things like lumps, if you feel lumps in the udder, redness, hot, okay, those are going to mean that you might have a problem. I would recommend, in order to avoid that happening, you know, the iodine teat dip, make sure she's clean, wash her really well. I have seen videos, and it's so gross. And if you're one of the ones that does this, please stop. People washing just the teats, and they'll leave all the muck and mire and manure all over the udder. That's just nasty. I mean, if you're hand milking especially, that manure and dried off mud is going to fall into your milk. And that bacteria is going to mix with your milk. We like to have our udders perfectly clean so that there's nothing on them that's going to get into the milk. You know, if you think about it, this bacteria, these microorganisms, they're live creatures. They know how to move. So it's not like just because it's dried on mud and you're getting the teats wet, that bacteria and those parasites are going to be drawn to warm, moist areas. You're milking this girl, they're going to go look for it. That's why we wash the udder, so that we're getting rid of that bacteria, microorganisms, parasites, as far away from where we have to milk as possible. And it's just good hygiene for our girls. If our girls' udders are being kept super, super clean twice a day, they're going to be at less risk for mastitis than a girl whose udder is always allowed to be covered in manure. You know, I mean, would you change your baby's diaper that way? Just clean the entrance on their diaper, you know, where they poop? Or are you going to clean their whole body? I mean, I know it's not a fair comparison, I get it, but it's still, that's just nasty. Wash your girl's udder. I like to use 7th generation natural detergent. There are much more natural detergents that are wonderful. I wouldn't use very much vinegar, because if she does have any open sores, it's going to burn. Just, you know, treat your girl's udder the way you would treat your child. Keep them clean. The cleaner they are, the healthier they're going to be. All right, but what do you do if one of your girls does come down with mastitis? You've tried everything. You've done everything you possibly can. They come down with mastitis. You know what? That can happen. It just can happen. We've had it happen. So what I'll do is, as soon as I suspect mastitis, I'll make up just, you know, a little mason jar, just a small, like, half pint. I'll make up a collection. I'll have 2 of them, actually. One is for the udder rub. The other one is to go into her feed. The udder rub is going to have Dynamint in it. You can purchase that at your farm store. It's great stuff. I love it. But then I'll also add like 4 or 5 capsules of garlic oil squeezed out in there. Garlic does fight infection, so we want to fight off infection as much as we possibly can. I'll also put like 2 or 3 drops of oregano oil and a couple drops of lavender. Don't need to add peppermint because that's in the Dynamint, so I don't want to overdo her. I want her to be comfortable. Clove oil, couple drops, and tea tree oil, couple drops. And you can adjust that as necessary. I will, you know, if the mastitis is really, really bad, I might use 5 or 6 drops of each. Just be careful with the oregano oil. It's super strong and super powerful. Don't add things like black pepper. That's going to supercharge it. You know, just don't do that. Your girl can't tell you how she feels if you give her too much and it's burning her skin. So start with less and work your way up. See how she tolerates it. Okay, vitamin E. Use vitamin E as well. Okay, that's in the rub. I will rub that on the udder, not the teat, because I don't want the calf to be encouraged to not nurse on that quarter. So I don't want it on the teat. I want it on the quarter. So you're just really going to massage that in. Okay, it's very similar to Vicks Vapor Rub. You're going to really just rub that in if one of your kids has, you know, pneumonia, bronchitis, the old-fashioned Vicks Vapor Rub. You know, I remember that when I was a kid. Or something like BioFreeze, if your muscles are sore, you rub it on your skin. Topical does work. It really does. There's a lot to be said for topical treatments. Okay, so I'll do that for topical, and I'll do that before milking and after milking. I use a machine. You've seen me use my Surge Milker. If I suspect one of those quarters has mastitis, I won't hook up the inflation on that quarter. Okay, but if it's flowing well, but it's got mastitis, then I'll dump out the good milk into a pail with a lid on it. 5-gallon bucket is what I use. And then I'll hook the Surge Milker back up, and then I'll just milk out that mastitis quarter separate. Now, that being said, would I use that on the rest of my girls? No, I'm going to put my mastitis girl as the last one I'm milking. And then when I'm cleaning everything, it goes into the dishwasher, and it gets really super sanitized, okay? So, you know, there's just basic hygiene things. Okay, feed. We will really focus on good vitamins, minerals. That's the other thing. Loose minerals. Get a good quality. It's expensive, I know. We spend like $50 for a 50-pound bag of loose minerals. And it makes a huge difference for our girls. Huge difference. We've seen it. Okay, but I'll use apple cider vinegar, roughly about 1/4 cup, but it's got to be the good apple cider vinegar, like the Bragg's with the mother in it. Shake it up real good. Make sure you're getting some of that in there. And then apple cider vinegar, garlic capsules, vitamin E squirted all over, and then not your essential oils. No. Colloidal silver, I'll use that. And then vitamin C, I'll use about 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C all crushed up into a powder. Nasty, they're not going to want to eat that. But you mix it up into sweet feed, they're going to go for it. Especially if you only give them like 2 cups, measuring, you know, kitchen cups worth of sweet feed, and put that in there, they'll eat it. And then eventually you can, you know, give them more and just watch them. You might have a girl that is so super picky, you're going to have a hard time getting her to take any of these things. You know, just kind of work with it. I do have a cow that if I so much as add a single anything, she won't touch it. So it's just, you got to go with whatever your cow says. But I will do that mixture every day, every single time I am milking her out. And I have seen that really work. You know, the things like milking her out completely. If you are getting chunks, you're going to need to hand milk, because there's just, you don't want a machine on that. That can really hurt her. Hand milk her out, feel for those clumps, massage and work, break those clumps loose. Those are actually clumps, okay? Now, when you are on the upswing finally with mastitis, it does not mean that she's not going to test positive for it. She's got to cleanse all of that out. So you are flushing that quarter out. And it could take a long time. I mean, it could take 8 weeks. Okay, so just because you've done everything you should be doing and she's acting great and things are filling up, but she's still testing positive, that's okay. Just give her a chance to flush it all out. I wouldn't personally use the milk until she's testing clear from that quarter. You just get into the habit of making sure you're, milking that 1 quarter separate, because you don't want any sloughed off bacteria getting into the rest of your girls. Okay, so those are some things that we do to help treat mastitis. I think it's worked really well for us. I have used today the antibiotic. I have used that. But I'll also use my natural stuff in conjunction with the Today. Now, what do I do about that with, the milk? The package for Today says that I should not use the milk from that quarter for 4 days after, I give her the medication. I won't use the milk from that cow at all for an extra week beyond the 4 days that the box recommends. I just, I've got clients that really want, their milk to not have any risk of bacteria, or not bacteria, antibiotics in it. And I just feel safer about that. So my girl that milk is not being used for any of my clients or my family for over a week after she's been given an antibiotic. So, all right. But then even still, I'm not really going to be using that milk anyway. So after that time, and she's still testing positive in that 1 quarter, I can use the milk from the other quarters and just throw the milk from the mastitis quarter away. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else that I can tell you. Blood in the milk is common when you're dealing with mastitis. It just means you've got a serious issue. Just really keep an eye on your girl, and please keep your girl's udders clean. Use the teat dip. If you've got a natural teat dip that you prefer, that's fine. Iodine is natural. Just please be super careful. It's not anything to mess with, because once your girl has mastitis pretty bad, that quarter is always going to struggle. It will. If it gets really super bad, that quarter is always just going to produce less. It's always going to be more susceptible to mastitis. So mastitis is nothing to mess around with. And if it still won't go away and you're trying everything and it just comes back and then it's gone and then it comes back, all right, you might have a much more serious issue like a staph A infection. So, and that's going to register positive for mastitis, so you need to get that tested. And now you're beyond any help I can give you. My favorite cow we had to put down because she had staph A, and it broke my heart, but she was suffering. Hers was very advanced, and that was really, really hard to manage, and it broke my heart. Okay, so anyway, I have had some of these girls, well, Minnie anyway, has had mastitis. We were able to treat it. We got on it right away with the Today, with the antibiotic, and then we treated it naturally. She bounced right back, and that quarter has produced perfectly with everything else. And then this time around, she did not. This was her second lactation. One of them she didn't have mastitis, the other one she did. I think it was her first one she didn't, the second one she did. And you're dealing with a muddy season, temperature fluctuations. It can happen. So don't go blaming yourself that you didn't do something right. If you're doing everything you know to do, these things can happen. But hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea on what you can do preemptively to help mitigate that. The keeping her udder washed. Remember, these bacteria and microorganisms and parasites, they are creepy crawlies. They are looking for warm, moist environments. So if you can wash as far away from your milking area as you can, like the entire udder, you're going to help prevent them from being able to get into the milk and then up inside. That's why it's important to make sure you strip her out before you milk. And that's why it's important to, if you have a stanchion and it's a clean stanchion, let her stand here after you're done milking, after you post-teat dip her. Let her stand here for a minute or two just to give those orifices a chance to close off again. Because I know for me right now, my pasture is a mucky mess. So I like to let Blossom hang out here just for a few minutes, eat some extra food, treats, get her brush, whatever. She enjoys it. And then put her back out. But at least that way she's not going to be dragging open orifices into the muck. That's kind of another reason why I'm not a big fan of the whole calf sharing thing. But with the calf sharing, the calf is going to help with the mastitis. You know, it's just kind of an either or. Could help, could make it worse, you know. But if you're going to calf share, please milk twice a day. Especially if you've got a cow that has high production genetics, milk twice a day. You know, this is nothing to mess around with. Okay, I have to go get this milk filtered. Thankfully, it's super cold out here, so the milk is getting cold as we speak. But I need to go get it filtered. We are down to 5 to 5.5 weeks with Minnie. Actually, this coming Monday, so today's Saturday, so this coming Monday, it'll be 5 weeks. Last calf, she went 10 days early. Wow. She could be having a calf in some seriously cold weather. Okay. So right around the 3-week mark, we're going to be bringing her into the stanchion and just watching her udder fill, watching her ligaments drop. So we'll talk a little bit about that, how to know when your cow is going to have a calf, stuff like that. Keep watching. I've got more things coming up for you, and Minnie's doing great, by the way. Lump jaw has pretty much all but disappeared completely. It's nice and movable, whatever. She's doing great. Blossom's doing great. Daisy dried off really well. She's always a hard one to dry off because she is such a high production cow. And so they're all doing great. We're also going to be watching Molly, getting Molly trained to the stanchion because this will be her first calf. So we've got lots of things coming up. And if I think about it too much, I'm going to stress out. So I need to not think about it. I need to go inside where it's nice and warm, filter the milk, get this milk out for my clients, and be good from there. Subscribe so you don't miss anything because we do have some cool things coming. All right, I will see you all soon. Happy farming, everybody.
And I don't know why, don't know why, don't know why I'm always feeling homesick. Oh.